I think it is clear to believe in the power of ideas.
Fresh thinking of the Manhattan Institute.
Thanks again to our panel, our first panel participants. I think it's fair to say we heard in their reports from the front a lot of explicitly and implicitly supportive comments about mayoral control. We heard from the audience some incipient doubts. Now we're going to turn the discussion directly back to the New York City public schools, to the dual question of whether reauthorization of mayoral control as it's configured presently, or perhaps in some other form, is a good idea for New York. And we're going to invite some scrutiny of some of the claims that have been made about the effectiveness of the reforms instituted via mayoral control. Is that the kind of applause that the president gets during the State of the Union? And to guide us through this multifaceted discussion, we're really privileged to have the Clara and Larry Silverstein Dean of the School of Education, Hunter College, City University of New York, David Steiner.
Good morning. I will briefly introduce our speakers. Let me just begin by saying that in my own work to encourage a School of Education to focus on outcomes and value added of our graduates in the classroom, I'm privileged to draw on support from many people in this room who otherwise have very different views on the subject this morning. So I want to say at the outset that I know all of us are focused on better education for our children. Let me begin by introducing, in the order that they will speak, our four presenters. The first is Sly Flegel, known to many of you, the President and Gilder Senior Fellow of the Center for Educational Innovation, Public Education Association, who has a long and prestigious history in public education, started his career, in fact, as a teacher, and then became a school leader. In 1975, he became the Director of Alternative Education for New York City's Community School District 4, and described the experience superbly in Miracle in East Harlem. Our second speaker is David Bloomfeld, a colleague of mine at CUNY. David's been a teacher, a principal, a superintendent. He's currently associate professor and program head of educational leadership at Brooklyn College, CUNY. He also serves as an elected parent member of the Citywide Council on High Schools. Our third speaker is Joe Williams. He's the executive director of Democrats for Education Reform. He previously worked as an award-winning educational journalist for the New York Daily News, also served as an educational reporter with the Milwaukee Journal-Sentinel, where he won numerous awards, local, state, and national level. And our final speaker is Diane Ravitch, currently research professor of education at New York University. She is also a senior fellow at the Hoover Institute at Stanford University and the Brookings Institute in Washington, D.C. She serves, as I do, on the Board of Trustees of Core Knowledge. She has been, from 91 to 93, Assistant Secretary of Education and Counselor to the Secretary of Education, and was responsible for the Office of Educational Research and Improvement in the United States Department of Education. We will follow the same format as the earlier panel. The speakers will be speaking for about 10 minutes, and then there will be plenty of time, I hope, for questions from the floor. Let's start then with Sly Flegel.
Good morning still. I wouldn't get too excited about the word control, because this system is much too large to be controlled by anybody. And the people who learn that fastest are usually the chancellor. It usually takes 6 months to determine, I have very little control, so they try and get more control. Another 2 months, they realize they're never going to get control. I am for mayoral responsibility for the schools, because there's no way that the mayor controls the schools.